Joining us live now is AOC Chief Executive Matt Carroll. Matt, thanks for your time this afternoon. Why should Russian and Belarusian athletes be allowed to compete in Paris?
Well, it's about the athletes, and it's athletes from Russia, athletes from Belarus. The most important thing is for them to be able to compete. The athletes themselves haven't started the war, aren't competing, aren't in the war. So the Olympic movement globally is all about unifying the world through sport. So it is the decision, the IOC, after consulting with all the international federations, sporting federations, consulting with the National Olympic Committees, with the athletes commissions, that they've come up with. It is a struggle. It is a dilemma. The IOC have always said that a way of having athletes from Russia and Belarus being able to compete in the Games. Still a lot of restrictions, no flags, no protocols, no national anthems, none of that. No officials from Russia will be invited or from Belarus. So it's the same as the Russian tennis players competing in Melbourne. Very strong restrictions, and also that they have to agree to those before they are allowed to compete. The Russian Olympic Committee will be invited by the IOC on the terms that the IOC will set down.
So what happens if they get a gold medal? No anthem?
No anthem, no flag, no recognition of Russia or Belarus.
Is it going to be difficult, though, for these athletes to compete as neutral, not display any flag, be able to sing the anthem, when such a big part of the Olympics is about representing your country?
Well, it is difficult, and that's that dilemma. It's that balance between being able to go to the Games and compete. And these athletes have been preparing the same as athletes from all around the world for these Games after the Tokyo Games. So they'll want to compete. They don't have to go. It's a decision for that athlete. But I think you'll find most will say, well, look, at least I'm going to compete. And that's going to be a great opportunity. They obviously have to qualify. And that's part of the IOC's process, is seeing how the athletes can qualify through competitions in Asia.
Britain's Cultural Secretary says that the IOC's plan legitimises Putin's illegal war in Ukraine. Does she have a point?
Look, obviously everyone's entitled to their view. We're not talking about the war in Ukraine is terrible, no doubt about it at all. And the United Nations and Security Council and those organisations will deal with that. We're talking about the athletes of the world. We're not talking about the war. Well, there's lots of things that happen in our world which aren't great, and that continue to happen even outside of Ukraine and other places. So it's very. The IOC want to use the power of sport as that uniting piece. Therefore, bringing the athletes, giving the athletes the opportunity to be in Paris is uniting the world through sport.
Yeah. I suppose, what message does it send to Ukraine, though, by allowing Russian athletes to compete, and how damaging is it going to be for the Olympics if we do see Ukraine boycott them?
Well, I'm not part of the IOC, but the IOC obviously been discussing this situation both with Ukrainian athletes and with the Ukrainian government. So I presume they are continue to have those discussions so that they won't boycott. Most importantly, too, is to ensure that all the Ukrainian athletes, and many of them aren't in Ukraine at the moment, are able to do their qualifications and preparations for the Games unhindered by the war in Ukraine.
Do you think there's going to be any pressure from the Australian government, also other countries such as the US, to see this decision be reversed?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we've kept the Australian government informed since these discussions have been going since last year. The IOC obviously keeping governments informed as well. The president of the IOC is obviously he's addressed the United Nations. He's also addressed the summit held in last year, the economic summit. So the world leaders are being kept up to speed, and the rationale for it and the decisions, if you read the United Nations, the IOC statement is that the United Nations recognises the power of sport and the role of the Olympic Committee.
And are you confident in the background checks that these athletes will have to go through to ensure that these athletes from Russia don't support the war in Ukraine?
Well, look, as confident as any process can be. It's not only just that as well, but it's also making sure they are clean, that there's no issues around doping. So it'll be both, and it won't just be a system, but it's going to be very, very transparent as well.
Just finally, Matt, countdown is on to Paris. You excited? How different is it going to be compared to the last Olympics in Tokyo?
Well, I didn't quite make it to the last Olympics in Tokyo because it had the half the team home after the first week. So I'm certainly looking forward to it, and we'll have a very strong team again across a whole lot of sports and disciplines. So Australians will be able to celebrate their athletes again, and they'll do their best to inspire the country.
AOC Chief Executive Matt Carroll, thanks so much for your time.
Absolute pleasure.